The janitor who shouldn't have been there. The first thing the police later asked the witnesses was simple: why did the CEO cry when the janitor walked in late? None of them knew the truth. None of them knew that what caused the CEO's trembling collapse was the same thing that almost stopped a murder from happening that night. But the story didn't begin in the boardroom, or with the broken glass on the floor, or with the trembling CEO on her knees whispering, "How could I not have known?" No. It began 2 hours earlier, with a janitor sprinting down the hospital hallway, clutching a crumpled bouquet of gas station daisies, and muttering, "I'm late. God help me, I'm late." Before we go further, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles so we can bring you more stories just like this one. Now, back to the part where everything went wrong. David Turner was the kind of man most people overlooked. 58 years old, quiet, soft-spoken, and always carrying a smell of citrus disinfectant on his uniform sleeves. He worked nights as a janitor at Crestview Medical Center, pushing his mop between the floors where dreams came true and where they died. Tonight should have been different. Tonight was supposed to be his first date in 12 years. He had met her, Emma Hartwell, by accident, though calling it accident didn't feel right. It felt like something placed gently in his path by a universe that had finally grown tired of watching him grieve. Emma was elegant, warm, and brilliant. The CEO of Hartwell Industries, though David didn't know that at first. She had been visiting the hospital for a philanthropic event, and he had accidentally spilled a whole tray of disinfectant wipes near her shoes. She laughed. He apologized. She said it wasn't a big deal. Then she asked if he wanted to grab a coffee sometime. He thought she was joking. She wasn't. For 2 weeks, they exchanged messages, small ones, thoughtful ones, sometimes heartbreaking ones. Emma confessed she hadn't been on a date in years. David confessed he hadn't smiled this much in just as long. They set a date. 7 p.m. A small restaurant on the west side of town. But at 6:40 p.m., right when David clocked out, his world collapsed. A code blue alarm rang out. A child had stopped breathing, on the 4th floor. And the 4th floor was where David's daughter worked. Without thinking, he raced up the stairwell. His 12-year-old granddaughter, Lily, was sitting on a chair with her face buried in her hands. His daughter, Sarah, was beside her, pale as a ghost. "It's her classmate," Sarah whispered. "Collapsed during visiting hours. They don't know why yet." Lily's terrified. David dropped to his knees in front of Lily. "Sweet pea, hey. I'm right here." Her small hands grabbed his. "Grandpa. Grandpa, I saw, the mom, she said something scary." "What did she say?" he asked. But before Lily could answer, a nurse rushed out of the room, panic slicing across her features. "Is anyone here a blood donor for O-negative?" she asked. "We're running low," and the mother already fainted. David looked at his watch. 6:55. His heart stuttered. Then he nodded. "I am." It took 15 minutes. 15 minutes that cost him everything. When he stepped out, breathless and pale from the donation, he realized he was nearly half an hour late. Oh God. Emma. He apologized to Sarah, kissed Lily's forehead, and sprinted toward the entrance. His phone buzzed with an unread message. He didn't stop to check it. The evening wind hit his face like cold judgment as he stepped into the parking lot. He threw himself into his truck and sped across town. When he reached the restaurant, Emma wasn't there. The host shook his head. "Miss Hartwell left about 15 minutes ago. She said she hoped everything was okay." David's heart dropped so hard he felt dizzy. He tried calling, no answer. He sent a message, no reply. He left the restaurant in a fog, thinking he had blown the only beautiful chance he'd had in more than a decade. But fate wasn't done with him yet. He returned to the hospital because he had left his phone charger in the break room and needed to see Lily before heading home. When he arrived, a woman with a clipboard stopped him. "Mr. Turner, the CEO of Hartwell Industries is requesting you in conference room B." David blinked. "That must be a mistake." "No mistake," she said, her expression unreadable. "She says it's urgent." Confusion tangled with dread. He followed the woman down the hallway. Conference room B was usually used for board meetings. Tonight, its glass walls were dimmed, and only a single overhead light glowed inside. Emma stood with her back to him. Her shoulders were shaking. "Emma," he whispered. I'm so sorry I was late. There was an emergency with a child. I didn't know what to." She turned. Her eyes were red. Her breathing unsteady. And she wasn't alone. 2 police officers stood near the wall, silent and grim. David froze. One of the officers stepped forward. "Mr. Turner, we need to ask you a few questions about something your granddaughter witnessed earlier today." David's stomach twisted. What does Lily have to do with this?" But Emma walked toward him, her voice a tremble. "David, your granddaughter said something to me. Something she whispered when she saw me waiting outside the pediatric wing." His heart hammered. "What did she say?" Emma swallowed, tears building again. "She told me." Her voice cracked. "That she recognized the woman who collapsed in the waiting room. She said she'd seen her screaming into her phone before she shoved something into her son's backpack." David's breath vanished. "And she told me the boy was the same child who went into cardiac arrest." The pieces slammed together so fast he staggered. The officers exchanged looks. "Mr. Turner, we have reason to believe the mother may have intentionally harmed her son. Your granddaughter's statement may be the only reason we caught it in time." David stared at Emma. "I don't understand," he whispered. "What does that have to do with me being late?" Emma approached slowly, her voice breaking as she touched his cheek. "It has everything to do with it. Because when Lily told me what she saw, she also told me." She inhaled shakily. "She told me why you were late tonight." David felt the world tilt. "She said, my grandpa didn't forget the date. He was saving a life." Emma's tears spilled. "And that's the moment I realized. I hadn't been stood up. I'd been blessed enough to meet a man whose kindness is the reason a child is still breathing right now." David stared at her, stunned. But before he could speak, the door burst open. And everything he thought he knew about this night was about to get shattered. End of chapter 1. What the daughter whispered. When the door swung open, Sarah rushed inside, her face flushed with fear. "Dad!" "Oh, thank God, Lily said you were here." David stepped toward her instantly. "What's wrong? Is Lily okay?" Sarah shook her head. "She's terrified." As soon as the police started asking questions, she remembered something else. Something she didn't tell anyone yet. One of the officers turned sharply. What did she remember? Sarah hesitated, then looked straight at David. She said she heard the boy's mother on the phone. And she said the woman wasn't just angry, she was threatening someone. She said, if he won't pay what he owes, I'll make him watch everything fall apart. Emma's breath caught. The officers stiffened. And David felt something icy crawl down his spine. That sounds like extortion, one officer muttered. But Sarah wasn't finished. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Dad, she also said the woman mentioned a name. The room fell silent. Sarah whispered. She said the woman mentioned Emma Hartwell. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Emma's face drained of color. What? She whispered. That can't, David started. But an officer cut him off. Ma'am, is there any reason someone would want to harm you or your